We're very so excited to have you join us this weekend because this is Enterprise Weekend reaching you from Enterprise Television. And in case you want to know, we are reaching you from the economic hub of Nigeria, Lagos State. My name is Henry. We'll be starting off today with our newspapers, and right after that would be our main conversation for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria, Mr. Obe Oluwa Taiwo. He is the Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, HR, and a media consultant. Good morning to you, Mr. Obe, and welcome to Enterprise Weekend today.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so very much for your time. Now, let's kickstart this morning with the Saturday Vanguard newspaper. And straight up to the main story here, Rivers emergency. I wanted Fubara outright removal. Wike. And we have a couple of riders there. Tinubu saved him with suspension. PDP not ready for 2027. I won't support the party if Atiku doesn't keep to his words. And that coming from someone who has made himself a god with the letter a small g with the PDP. What do you have to say about Nyesom Wike and his authoritative submission to everything that's happening in Rivers State, and also his take on the presidency for PDP?
All right, thank you for that question. The former executive governor of Rivers State, Barrister Nyesom Wike, who is currently the FCT Minister in Abuja, he has shown himself to be a man with many lives. He has shown himself to be a man that has the heart of lion. But in as much as bold as he is, we must understand that politics has a season. Politics can be seasonal in nature. Like they say, nothing is permanent in politics. The only variables that is permanent in politics is what? Pure interest. So what does that mean? Whatever Nyesom Wike is speaking about concerning Rivers State, he's talking about pure personal interest, not the interest of the people, not the interest of the governance of Rivers State, not into the interest of the economic development of Rivers State. And we can also see him talking about how he has been working hard to bring down his party, talking about PDP. He's not, we can't really blame him. He will pay the pipe, he takes the tune. All right? There has been some cancerous disease among PDP for more than 10 to 20 years, whereby an average leader comes up and becomes powerful through the machinery of the party. But they will refuse to sponsor or to also fuel the structure that brought them into power. So they are eating their cake, and at the same time they want to have it. So that's why they're having a problem. But here we have a man like Wike, who look at the interests and decided that it's going to rise with the structure of the party, at the same time also sponsor the structure of the party. So that's why he has the guts to speak boldly in that manner. But notwithstanding, he must understand that there are times and seasons for everything. And politics also has a season on its own.
Very, very true, Mr. Obe. And often political leaders, when they have the power and they have the money, totally forget, just like you rightly said, there is a season for everything. Sometimes they feel they are so immune that they might survive everything. No one actually ever thought that Ibori would find himself in the situation he is now. Equally late, Alamesia No one actually thought he would find himself in the situation. Ekweremadu, who is in one of the jails in the UK, no one ever thought that they would find themselves in such a situation. So when someone totally feels that he is immune to things that he is unaware of, it's actually very strange. And I think Nyesom Wike at this point needs a bit of Oluwa's political education. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, he must follow the new narrative.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, let's take other matters here. Why votes may not count in 2027, and that's Buba Galadima says most Nigerians are almost giving up. Mr. Obe, that submission is not far from the truth. The last election had about 80 million Nigerians who actually registered. About 50 million collected their PVCs, and about 20 million voted at the end of the day, or 20 plus voted. Do you really think that come 2027 we might have that great number again? And do you think Nigerians care?
Okay, that's a good one. Now, there are a particular narrative and statistics that we are not looking at, and which is very, very crucial and critical at this time of the political space of Nigeria. Now, when we talk about we have more than 230 million Nigerians, and out of that 230 million, we have more than close to 80 million that actually register for PVC. All right. Now, out of that 80 million, we discover, according to survey, that more than 40% do not even understand why they are registering for PVC. They do not understand why they are registering for PVC. Some take it as a form of, okay, I just use it for a means of identification, or some also use it as a means of what? Of having banking transaction, because it's also a form of what? National identity process. All right. We also have another about 30% out of that 80 million that also got that PVC as a result of the influence of the leaders, misleading leaders in their constituency, who influence them to get the PVC. That when they have enough numbers of people with PVC in their areas, in their local government, that more development will come to their local government, without necessarily telling them that you are getting this PVC in order to vote for the man of your choice. So you can see that out of this 80 million, with this narrative I've given you, more than 70% do not even understand why they got the PVC in the first place. So the remaining percent is 30%. And that's what we got. For the people that actually voted, that's what we got. So, you know, when we are pushing figure out there, we must understand the influence behind those statistics, the influence behind those figures. All right? Okay, let me give you a typical example. As at the 2023 election, 2023 general election, prior to that election, through my organization, I'm partnering with INEC and other international organizations. We had a lot of voters education, advocacy, and awareness. Our NGO, we are Lagos Island, we are Ikeja, we are Lagos Mainland, we are Yaba. In fact, to be specific, we went into some tertiary institutions in Lagos State, talking to them about why they must have the PVC. Not just having it as a means of identification, but the reason that they have to get their PVC in order to have that power, that civic power, to choose the candidate of their choice. So you will be surprised to know, even among the young elites, do not even understand why they should get their PVC. Some of them were asking us that, why must we vote? If we don't vote, the winner will still emerge.
Which is true.
That is a misconception.
But
that is not true.
But Mr. Obe, it is actually factual, because going by what we observed in the 2023 general elections, how that lots of Nigerians did not get the opportunity to vote, and even those who voted, the votes were not counted. As you can see, it's as much as we do not want to watch our dirty leanings, but it's all over the social media, where you see the police being complicit to stealing ballot boxes, INEC officials also contributing in the menace that we have with our electoral system. So when Nigerians are actually saying that their votes do not count, there is an element of truth. And don't you think that should be considered?
Now, to you, it is a fact, but to us, it's not the pure truth. Now, how come in Lagos we had different parties that won during the 2023 election, if truly your votes do not count? Are you aware that in a particular local government, to be precise, Ajeromi Ifelodun local government in Lagos State, the members of the constituent went to vote, and they voted for a particular political party. All right? Are you aware that that particular political party do not have a candidate for House of Representatives? You know, it is very easy to generalize at the comfort of our home, of our offices. It is very easy to generalize based on the mega media stations, based on the narrative they are pushing out there. It's not the total truth. It is not the total truth. Are you also aware that in this same Lagos, a particular local government decided to vote for the party of their choice, and that candidate won, even without proper or intentional awareness on its own part? So why do we say that our votes will not count? It is an overgeneralization which is affecting the system, and this is the right time to stop such a narrative. Our vote counts. Our vote is still counting, and I can promise you, in 2027, our vote will count, because I will vote, and my vote must count. People must come out to vote, and their vote will count. And don't forget also, in the last election, there are a lot of technological innovation by INEC. And some of us from the SDG space of Nigeria, we are also pushing rigorously for INEC to upgrade their technology innovation in the next election. We are looking forward to biometric voting, electronic voting in the next election.
But Mr. Obe, yes,
rigorously. So that at the comfort of your zone, anywhere you are in Nigeria, you can vote with your PVC number. You can vote through your phone. We are pushing for that narrative vigorously. So I will not support that narrative that says that your votes will not count. I will not be part of such narrative. Your vote will count.
All right.
I will vote, and my vote must count, and it will count.
All right. So while we agree with you on that particular submission, because of course your NGO is in charge of that, I would maybe love to share my own example. During the governorship election in Lagos State, in my constituency, my polling station where I actually went to vote, after the accreditation, there were lots of people there who did not allow me vote, because when they checked on my name and discovered that my name was not in simpatico to a particular ethnic want, they told me that I wasn't allowed to vote. And not just me, there were lots of people there who were denied the opportunity of voting. So when Nigerians are saying that their votes would not count, this is a clerical classified example which I gave you with my own instance. So how do you justify what you said, knowing that lots of people were victims of this situation, including myself.
Now, that is a good narrative you have pushed forward based on your own personal experience.
Yes.
All right. I must also share with you my own personal experience. During the last election, 2023 election, prior to the election, I intentionally changed my polling units from one point to another. And that means I have to get a replaced PVC. I applied because I was part of the sensitization process through the Voters Education Department of INEC with our NGO. I mobilized more than 20,000 youths in Lagos State from different local governments for them to be registered for their PVC for the first time. All right. So what actually happened to me was that while I was campaigning for people to go to INEC to register, I was also part of that process in order to see where the problem is. All right. So what I did was to change my polling unit. Apparently, it was done successfully. I saw my name on the new list, but my PVC was not produced. So what happened? I went, apparently I'm from the Southwest, based on my name. All right?
Yeah.
So, but are you aware that if I was in Kano State, I would have been the same narrative with you, that my name or my PVC was not reproduced because I'm not from Kano State. That is the same narrative I will have been pushing.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about Mr. We actually we are not talking about the reproduction of the PVC. We're talking about a reality where some thugs, some urchins tell you that you are not supposed to vote because your name is not in sympathical to the region you are coming from.
Did you invite the security agent? Or now, whenever you have such occurrence, take your time to invite an observer into that scenario.
But the observers are there. We had let me give you a very good example. We had security operatives, policemen were there, other security agencies were actually there, and they saw all of these things going on. But of course, we know our security operatives. You rightly said, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. They couldn't do anything, even while the street urchins were busy doing what they are supposed to do, which of course me and you know it is illegal.
Now, one thing you must understand, nobody is permitted to disenfranchise you from voting. Nobody is permitted. Even the governor of Lagos State is not permitted to disenfranchise you from voting, from the choice of your candidate. Nobody is permitted to do so. All right? Now, I was not at that particular polling unit, so I will not speak for INEC. Neither will I speak for the security agency that was on ground. But one thing clearly that we must understand is that apparently I went back into INEC office to complain that I have an old PVC that was defaced and I need a new one with a new polling unit. How come it was not produced? And they went to check the record and they gave me a paper to make a complaint, official complaint. Lo and behold, my PVC was ready before the last election. Don't forget, I went back more than 5 times. What am I trying to push forward? What I'm trying to say is that nobody is permitted to disenfranchise you from voting for your choice in any election in Nigeria. Nobody. If truly you have seen a man or a woman who has come to harass you at a polling unit, what do? You inform the security agent immediately. And lo and behold, don't forget also, you are permitted to have the DPO number of your area. You are permitted to have the DSS number during the electoral process. You could have called upon any of these security agents that this is a situation All you need to do is to excuse yourself from the polling unit in order not to create a scenario. You excuse yourself and you make a proper and official statement to any security agents, including INEC,
Well,
that how come somebody who is not from INEC is asking me not to vote on a particular line. You can do so. You have the right to do so on an election day. Nobody, I repeat, nobody is permitted to disenfranchise you from voting for your choice in any particular election. The election of Nigeria is not about religion. The election about Nigeria is not about any state. It's not about any ethnic group. It's all about the leadership development pattern and succession plan of Nigeria. That is what we are looking for. No man must disenfranchise you from voting for your choice.
very, very, very true. I truly do agree with you. Of course, as much as we accept the theoretical greatness of what you have said, the reality, the pragmatic reality on the day of a vote is another, different scenario. But let's take a look at the Saturday Punch newspaper and our talking point for today: why I may relocate to Nigeria. American sells man married to cross river woman. Mr. Okpe, this is still in tandem with what we have been talking about, where the system makes it very difficult for people who are interested in building Nigeria. They've totally disenfranchised them from doing that in some quarters. A very typical example, our immigration stance said that if a man, a Nigerian, gets married to a foreign woman, the foreigner, which is the woman, automatically will start working on her passport immediately. But when a Nigerian woman gets married to a foreigner, that the foreigner, the man that is, has to live in Nigeria for 15 years just before he starts working on his passport. So you can see the little bit of problem that it is causing now. So do you think we totally blame this on leadership, or do we blame it on the statements that we have with our constitution, which is not really working out for us in the ways that we would want them to do?
All right, that's a good narrative you have pushed forward. Now, the point I will be looking at is from the constitutional provisions as well as the institutions, process and procedural pattern. Don't forget that as of today, when it comes to security challenge, Nigeria is still very porous. Our borders are porous. We must not deviate from that truth. So, in as much as we have those things, challenges, the only option for various institutions that has to do with immigration is in terms of putting some security measures in place. And those security measures, one way or the other, I can tell you with confidence, it has actually helped us indirectly.
That is having a man stay, yes, that is having a man stay in Nigeria for 15 years. How has that helped us before he starts working on his papers?
Do you get British passports within 1 year or within 2 years?
5 years.
5 years is not certain. Don't be deceived. It's not certain. If you don't complete the process, if you don't pass the test, you will not get it in 5 years. It is very easy for us to paint others white and paint ourselves black. The other pasture is always greener. All right? I have family members who are in America. I have family friends. In fact, through my NGO, I have signed reference letter for members of my organization that are traveling to Canada. And they got visa. And the visa process was seamless just because of the credibility of our organization. But if at that point they refuse to visa based on the integrity issue of whoever gave you the reference, then is it the problem of Nigeria? The security angle must be properly looked into. I have a brother who is in America. He failed the test of the American passport twice. For the third time, he got it. So the number of years you have spoken about, he didn't get it within that same year. It was elongated because he couldn't pass the process. So if we are talking about 15 years, I can tell you for sure that it is not every foreigner that came into Nigeria that got their Nigerian passport in 15 years. Some got it less than that, with or without marriage. The question is, was the process duly followed? For instance, when you want to marry a British lady as a Nigerian man, what are the processes? Did you pay any bride price in UK? And when you are doing the marriage, did you officially, through your family, did you officially invite her for the ceremony in Nigeria? What are the processes to pass through? You know, I will not be part of some discussions that are not seamless. When you have cut short a particular process, at the same time, you are pointing negative finger to that process, then who is to be blamed?
But the issue on that reference here...
I am not speaking for Nigerian immigration. Yes. I do not work for Nigerian immigration. I have had issue with my Nigerian passport. And it took time for me to resolve it. But it was eventually resolved seamlessly. It was resolved.
Yes. But the issue on that reference here, Mr. Okpe...
I will wake up.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that I will wake up and say that the whole process is a sham. No.
Yes, but the issue on that reference here is the inequality. You know, why would a Nigerian man who gets married to a woman, a foreigner, the constitutional provision allows the woman to start working on her papers immediately. But a woman who gets married to a foreigner as a husband, it takes 15 years. So the issue is with the inequality. Why is this so? That is the question.
Based on constitutional provision, as of today, the inequality has to be there. As of today. And based on institutional provision also, and their procedural pattern, we must understand their processes. And don't forget also, before any policy is being made, there are very rigorous process that it went through. And some of the actions, and don't also forget, the actions of individual Nigerians also matters in all of this policy, if we must take it. How come you go to the Nigeria, the registry, Nigeria registry at Ikoyi, you see a young boy of 20 years old getting married to a woman of 50 years old. Or you see a young lady of 20 years or 30 years marrying an American citizen of 60 years old. Is that marriage?
Well, that's a personal thing. Well, it's personal.
You know, you say it's a personal thing. But you and I know behind the scene that a lot of things are involved. The 2 plus 2 is not adding up. Let us know. All of us, we know that the 2 plus 2 is not adding up. We've seen it in newspaper. We've seen a lot of Nigerians duping Americans. We've seen a lot of young men duping British citizens. Recently, we had some deaths in our organization from UK. They were in Nigeria, and they were excited to meet us because we have signed different international deals, and they saw that whatever they have met online, on paper, when they came into Nigeria, nothing changes. So going forward, those kind of relationships will be seamless. But when there are particular shortcuts in a particular process, then don't expect the end to be seamless. It will never be seamless. We must protect Nigeria as much as we can do. You are the ambassador of Nigeria. I am the real ambassador of Nigeria. And we must do everything in our little corner, in our little space, to protect the green, white, green. Because I believe, as of today, the best country in the world is still my country, Nigeria.
Well, that's good patriotism from you, and we truly do agree with it. As much as we, of course, work with that submission, the fact still remains a Nigerian visa still remains one of the most difficult for foreigners to get. And as much as we would love to believe that is protectionism of our state, of our country, we equally have to take a look at it from the investment angle. Tourism is a very big ecosystem that we actually haven't latched in on. And if we continuously make it difficult for people to come in, then we might as well be taking such investments to other nations that are open to making this possible. But of course, in all of this, it still boils down on the fact that we all need to work, of course, together to ensure that things become as great as they would love to be. So that is all we have on this particular segment. Oluwa will be here still to take us on our main conversation, and we'll be talking about when a priest becomes a politician and forgets his calling. The case of Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia. That in the beat is still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere.